Hey, happy Monday, guys. Hope you all had a great weekend. Today's lesson is going to be a little bit different because we are not going to be going through all of the independent practice or even the homework, okay? Today we are going to do one page and then I'm going to have you guys jump onto a website here shortly. Okay, what is in my hands? This tool right here is called a protractor. Now, if you remember on Friday, we talked about angles and how we classify them differently. We first talked about 1/4 turns, half turns, and then full turns in a circle, okay? And then we got a little more in depth and we talked about angles using degrees, where we were a little bit more precise. We learned that a full turn is 360 degrees. We also learned what a right angle was, how that's a corner of a square or a rectangle. We also learned what acute was. Acute angles are smaller than a right angle, so that means they're less than 90 degrees. And then obtuse angles, they are larger than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. Now what you're going to be doing today is you are going to be measuring angles, and we're going to be very precise. We're going to get down to the exact degree on all of these if we can. Okay, so a protractor. All right, how do we use protractors? All we're going to be doing today in our My Math books, guys, is page 899, okay? We're going to do page 899, and then I'm going to have you guys jump online and try to use some virtual protractors. I know you guys don't have these at home, all right? Or maybe you do, okay? If you do, that's great. Maybe you can try the lesson out on the independent practice. I'm assuming that most of you guys don't, so we'll use a online tool, all right? Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with example 1 here. It says, Henry drew the angle shown. Measure the angle. Line up the protractor. This is the most important part, and this is where most students make their biggest mistake. You always have to make sure that one of the rays in the angle is pointing at 0. Now, where is 0 at on our protractor? You'll see 0 is actually right here, and it's also right here. Well, that's kind of confusing. There's 2 zeros. Bear with me here, okay? If I line up this ray with my 0, I'm going to see that the other ray is actually pointing at the numbers on my protractor, and that is where we will measure the angle. But I want you guys to think carefully. Let's look at this angle. Is it bigger than a right angle? No. In fact, it's smaller than a right angle. It's smaller than a 1/4 turn. So we know right away that this angle is going to be less than 90 degrees, okay? So again, I'm going to go ahead and line up this point right here, all right? And sometimes they have a circle here. That is going to be where that end point for both rays will go, okay? So I'm going to line that up. I'm going to line up with my 0, and I'm going to see where does that other ray line up with. What number does it line up with? Well, it just so happened that that ray was pointing right at 70. So what does that mean? From this ray running this way to this ray that ran right here was an angle of 70 degrees, okay? So you can see right here, they have everything lined up. They've got their end point right where that little circle is, okay? They have this ray lined up with 0. That's the most important part. And then they just have to see, where does the other ray cross? It crosses at 70 degrees, okay? So what is the measure of this angle? It is 70 degrees. Make sure I label that. Okay, guys. Now, what some students are going to do is they are going to measure this angle and they're going to look at the wrong number that is on that protractor, okay? Remember, if this ray was pointing the other way, this would be a obtuse angle, all right? So some students might go ahead and label that as 110 degrees, okay? Well, think about it. 110 degrees would be bigger than a 90-degree angle, okay? So be very, very careful with that. Okay, guys, that's all you're going to do in your My Math books for today. What I want you to do is I want you to get onto our Math Google Classroom, okay? I have a site, all right? You'll see the link there. It is a math website, and all you're going to do for today is you are going to practice using a protractor, okay? It's a virtual protractor. You'll be able to move it around. Make sure you line up that endpoint, okay? Make sure you have one of the rays pointing at the 0, okay? So that is your lesson for today, measuring angles using a protractor. Alrighty, good luck guys. See you tomorrow.